on our side, real estate investing, it's going to drive more people into the marketplace. I only found out about real estate investing because I had a pain in my life. I had a life-changing event that was a layoff. So I started looking for answers for that $30,000 a month hole in my life that was losing my job. And I found real estate. I think more people will find real estate when that happens to them. I think they'll discover wealth building principles of owning real estate and all the different things that we've discovered on our journey. I think, in good times, people don't start that journey. In bad times, they have to start that journey or they starve to death. So I think more people will be finding it. I know you own a construction business, but, entrepreneurial spirit is in everybody if you get them down to their last dime.
Yes. Supposedly. Yeah, there's
no,
still.
It will.
Yeah.
Unless you just I was looking at a property down in Bastrop, Texas, and it crosses the Colorado River. So no, it was New Braunfels. I was not New Braunfels, San Marcos. Anyways, so it crosses the San Marcos River there, and there's a bridge, and there's the Walmart, and I was getting fuel, and there's a homeless lady, just sitting there on the sidewalks. And I noticed her, and there's a homeless guy, and he's got a bicycle. And I'm like, okay, this is a different part of the world. I don't have homeless people where I live. I'll never see them. And then there's like a homeless encampment walking out from underneath the bridge. 3 or 4 people coming from underneath the bridge. I'm just sitting there waiting for my truck to fill up. And I'm looking, and this guy's got a trash bag, but it's clear. So I could see through it to the contents of the bag. And I'm looking at this guy, and I'm like, damn. I was like, homie, don't have anything. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at the contents. I'm like, he's got old pizza boxes. You know what I mean? He's got this, he's got that. And I'm just looking at it as he walks, and he walks in front of my truck and goes to the dumpster and throws the bag away and then walks back down into his homeless encampment. And I sitting there thinking, I need to follow that guy back down in there. And I even told Braxton whenever I was there, I was like, we need to go hire that guy. He's like, why? I'm like, all the dude's got is whatever's under that bridge, and he's keeping it clean. You know what I mean? He's down there.
Yeah.
He took the effort to get the trash bag. He's got a dog, that trash bag, and pride enough to clean up wherever he's going to live. We should go try to hire that guy. And so it's like, how would you approach that person? How would you approach that person that's down there last time but taking pride in where they live and what they do have going for them, which is shade under that bridge? And I was like, man, I don't want to walk down there. And Braxton's like, why? I'm like, man, maybe it's like a homeless orgy. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good drugs, a lot of ugly women. You know what I mean? Maybe it's a damn good time down there.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now I don't want to work anymore. I just want to be in the homeless orgy village where the guy that is like the king masculine dude is a dude with the cleanest area. And so he's just doing he just cleaned up his area so he could get laid today. You know what I mean? What if I find out some stuff I don't want to know?
It's like some post-apocalyptic movie down there.
Yeah, like you know what I mean?
Book
like
of Eli.
I just go down there, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? I'm like tempted by the fruits of the homeless labor, and I'm just wanting to live under a bridge then. Like, it might go south for me. He might sell me.
I don't think you're going to want to live under a bridge if you were paying for the AC just so you could keep that bitch on 60.
Maybe, but what if it's a really good time down there? Like, what if that simplistic life, like they got like a garden, they're just, you know what I mean? Like, we got this vision of it being bad, but then we get down there and it's Eden. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Like,
it's
okay.
Nirvana.
Yeah. Like,
it's like Will Ferrell in Old School. Maybe it's something we don't even know about.
That's right.
I mean,
I don't even know.
When did you get laid off to where you found this real estate opportunity?
2015. I actually asked to get laid off. I had a 1.5-year-old daughter. She was born in November. So she turned 1 in November. So it was April or March of 2015. There was a lot of stress at work. People were stressing out. One mistake was going to get you fired. I was like, I can't operate in these parameters. We're all going to get fired. You know what I mean? Oil was, OPEC announced that Thanksgiving, oddly enough, that they were going to not cut production, that they were going to pump as much oil as they could pump and sell it. And the market cratered. It went from $90 oil to $30 oil, and everybody got really efficient. Now, I look at that and I was like, I'm a 30-year-old consultant, made it high up the food chain. I could go down, I could get demoted and go down and work, and I'll always be able to get those jobs. I can get those jobs. Anytime I want those jobs will be there. All I have to do is fill out an application, pass a drug test, have a functioning body, and I can go get a job. So I wasn't worried about that, but I was like, I don't want to be here in this high stress situation. I've got some money saved up. I've got some stuff paid off. Everybody seems worried about it. I just told my boss, I was like, if this is what work's going to be like, just send me home. And when things get better again, call me back. I got some things I can work on at the house. And then it didn't happen that way. I got home. I realized I had way too much free time. I was trying to conserve, and you cannot conserve your way to wealth. You know what I mean? That principal that I had in the bank and that equity I had on that property and the one property I had that was paid for that my dad lived at, which was his house, I paid it off. I was just like, eating on that principal every single month.
So you're saying Dave Ramsey's full of shit?
I don't know. I don't know Dave Ramsey's principles, but I do know this. Like, if you spend that principal, if you eat into that principal. Now I look at what I had, and I could have invested everything that I had and all the equity that I had. If I would have invested it, it would have got me about $5,000 a month. That's $60,000 a year. And I promise you, I could make it on $60,000 a year from what I did, in the coming months, which was sell everything and invest it, but I didn't know how to invest it. So it's like you end up with $500,000 in a business. You know what I mean? You just look up and you got $500,000 sank into a business and the business still ain't making money. You're like, is this the path? Well, I don't know. You got to keep going now, though. You at least figured a few things out that make money. Keep doing more of that.
Yeah.
And dig yourself out. And that took us all the way through really about time COVID hit was the wake up call that we needed, because we were trying to make sense of, doing 20 deals a year. And how do you pick the best 20 deals to do and be picky and choosy? Like, I got a little crystal ball and I know how the market's going to respond to a deal I have, and throwing a lot of stuff away to basically doing that and just saying, okay, if it will rent for 2% of purchase price, we buy it. And if it doesn't sell, we rent it. And we're just doing that as many times as we can in between now and the end of the world. And we've done that now for 2 years through COVID. And people left the marketplace. They got scared. Their money got scared. So we went from having about 5 million in private capital to having over 10 million in private capital. We still press today. I mean, this morning at 7:00, I put it in my Facebook group. I got a text message, 2 more people bringing money in, another 300,000, another 100,000, and another mystery amount of money that we'll find out about on Friday, of people wanting to put money into real estate. And the way that we do it, we're not syndicators. We don't share equity. We structure it as debt. So they loan us the money. They're secured on the real estate. We go buy the real estate. We try to sell it. If it doesn't sell, we rent it out. They get paid. The tenant's making their payment for us, essentially. And then we go to a bank and refinance it. When banks stop lending, when banks get nervous and start taking assets back and stop lending, it will create a new opportunity for us, because we'll be able to go to the banks to buy inventory now, and they will do the financing on that. That's how I bought my original first house, was the bank financed it to me at 4% interest, because they didn't want that asset on their books. When that happens and banks are taking back assets, they get restricted on how much they can lend, but they have to get the assets off their book. They're only going to hand those assets to people that can operate them. And by operate them, I mean put a tenant in there and collect rent. It's not a hard scenario. I see a lot of people, talking about this or talking about that. I'm like, guys, if you don't want to own a rental, you don't need to be in real estate during a recession. Because if you're flipping houses and tomorrow that house won't sell, and this is what happened to us in 2015, we had to put a tenant in place. The problem was we didn't see the value in that till 4 years later. It took us 4 years to go, you know what? All the ones that we rented out along the way pay our bills every single month. Why don't we just do that? And then we got into an extremely hot real estate market where it made sense to just sell everything, because when it's sunshine, you make hay. You just sell it, get the money. And we got this awesome tax return this year. I think we made $1.5 million last year or something. And that's a phenomenal tax return to leverage with the banks this year. So this year, the banks look at last year's $1.5 million and they're like, oh, these guys make a lot of money.
Sure.